So, Mark Zuckerberg, who is a massive dork, who would not be where he is had he not stolen Facebook? Who would not be where he is had he not made himself the dictator of Facebook, now Meta, because of all the controversy and issues that have taken place underneath his helm, underneath his leadership? But because the board can't get rid of him, he remains where he is. Mark Zuckerberg, who, like, 2 months ago did one thing athletic, the first athletic thing he's ever done with his life. So now he's got some testosterone pumping through his body. His testes are pumping that testosterone through his body. So now he feels like a man. He's a real man now because he's been doing like MMA and like combat sports and just doing little athletic things. My dude then grown his hair out. You know what I'm saying? He went from this. Where's a picture? He went from this, the most vanilla, plain fucking vanilla Oreo cookie, wheat bread, white bread with syrup on it, no flavor, fucking cold ass chicken with nothing but a couple grains of salt and a few flakes of pepper on it. And now he done found some swag. You feel me? Look at my man's here. He got the fuck boy hairdo. You know what I'm saying? He got all this shit going on. So let's hear what he has to say, because he apparently corporate America is not masculine enough. It's not aggressive enough. It doesn't have enough balls. There's not enough testosterone.
For me, it's just I think a lot of the corporate world is like pretty culturally neutered, and I just think like having, I grew up. I have 3 sisters, no brothers. I have 3 daughters, no sons. So I'm like surrounded by girls and women, like
Too many bitches, man. I got too many bitches, man.
my whole life, and it's like, so I think I don't know. There's just something, the kind of masculine energy I think is good, and
Yeah.
obviously society has plenty of that, but I think corporate culture was really like trying to get away from it, and I do think that there's just something. It's like, I don't know, these all these forms of energy are good, and
He sounds like he's just making this up as he goes along, like he's just talking out of his ass, because there's no real concrete point that he's making, other than, oh, there's too much DEI. What are you talking about? There's not enough masculine energy in corporate America. Corporate America makes more money than any other corporate, any other corporate conglomerate in any other country. We're the wealthiest nation in the world for a reason. China's the second closest, but other than that, like, we make more money than everybody else. Our corporate America largely drives the American military machine, whether it be oil companies or tech companies, real estate companies. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot of what drives war in the first place, not just here in America, but big business all over the world. People go to war for resources so that the corporate structure, so that the business structure has access to that, so that they can make money. Corporate America goes to war over trade routes. They're constantly having their taxes cut. They're constantly getting away with things. Donald Trump, who is nothing but emblematic of corporate American culture. This dude who had 91 felony convictions, 34 of which he was found guilty on, and 91 criminal charges, 34 of which he was convicted on, rather, and is the biggest fool anybody's ever seen. A lot of his appeal is cheap masculinity, and he just became president of the United States, and now corporate America, including you, Mark Zuckerberg, are kissing his ass. He's just talking out of his butt right now. He really is.
I think having a culture that like celebrates the aggression a bit more has its own merits that are really positive, and that has been a kind of a positive experience for me.
And again, like, it's like, dude, where the hell have you been? Like, I recently, again, he recently, a few seconds ago, did something athletic, and he's enjoying it. So now he feels like a big man, because up until now, he's never done anything like this, and he just sounds like a nerd. All love to nerds. I'm a nerd myself, but there's levels. There's levels of nerddom.
Just like having a thing that I can just like do with my guy friends, and like,
Yeah.
and it's just like we just like beat each other a bit. I don't, it's good. It's
It
good.
is good. I
I don't
agree.
know.
It's good. It just I could see your point though about
Yeah.
corporate culture. When do you think that happened? Was that a slow shift? Because I think it used to be very masculine. And I think it was kind of
Okay, Joe Rogan also, he just talks out of his ass too. No matter who his guest is, he agrees with them. Like, yeah, because it's less masculine than it used to be. What are you talking about? Again, I don't. Other than DEI, a couple of white guys complaining about DEI. That's all this is right here. It's two rich white men complaining about the fact that women and women of color, people of color, and gay people of various flavors get to be in an office and get to make a little more money, get to have a little bit more managerial responsibility. Couple of white dudes complaining about DEI. That's all this is right here.
hyper aggressive at one point.
No, and look, and I think part of the intent on all these things I think is good, right? I do think that if you're a woman going into a company, it probably feels like it's too masculine. It's like there isn't enough of the kind of the energy that you may naturally have, and it probably feels like there are all these things that are.
Again, he's talking out of his ass because what does any of this mean? Like he's like, I like to be with the fellas and do some wrestling. That's fine, but what does that have to do with the workplace? Like people aren't coming into work and having boxing matches. You go to work, you probably sit at a cubicle, maybe you make phone calls. Like this doesn't happen in the real world. Like so again, just a couple of white guys complaining about
set up,
DEI.
they're biased against you, and that's not good either, because you want women to be able to succeed and like have companies that can unlock all the value from having great people, no matter what their background or gender. But I think these things can always go a little far. And I think it's one thing to say we want to be kind of like welcoming and make a good environment for everyone. And I think it's another to basically say that masculinity is bad. And I just think we kind of...
Who said... This dude is such a dork. Like this conversation is a few years too late. Like if you was going to talk about this, you should have did this shit a couple of years ago. But he just sounds like he's been watching some Andrew Tate. And I mean that's all this sounds like to me. Like it's gone a little too far. Again, couple of rich white men complaining about DEI. That's all this is.
Swung culturally to that part of the kind of the spectrum where it's all like, okay, masculinity is toxic, we have to like get rid of it completely. It's like, no, like it's both of these things are good, right? It's like you want like feminine energy.
Again, and I'm sorry, Mark, but you're just not the person to be delivering this message. You're just not, because you're not a beacon of masculinity in any type of way. Like you recently started partaking in sports and you got a little bit more swag now than you used to. So now all of a sudden you feel like you're this big alpha male because you're surrounded by nothing but yes men, because you're an uber billionaire and you don't have to listen to people who tell you that you're full of shit if you don't feel like it, because you're an uber billionaire. But what do you even... If you were just genuinely this masculine man, why would you even be talking about this right now? This is a type of shit that insecure men feel like. But again, like I said a million times, a couple of rich white guys complaining about DEI.
Want masculine energy? Like I think that's like, you're gonna have parts of society that have more of one or the other. I think that's all good, but I do think the corporate culture sort of had swung towards being this somewhat more neutered thing. And I didn't really feel that until I got involved in martial arts.
Oh my God. I didn't even listen to it all the way through. Right on the money. I didn't feel that until I got involved in martial arts and I started being a little bit more manly myself, because before that I didn't like to eat cheeseburgers. I prefer Soylent. I drink nothing but soy because I'm pure soy. And I liked my little nerd haircut, but then I started participating in martial arts. I started watching a little bit of interracial porn, and I hadn't even listened to it this far.
Which I think is still a much more masculine culture. And so
God,
and not that it doesn't try to be inclusive in its own way, but I think that there's just a lot more of that energy there. And I just kind of realized it's like, oh, this is
that's
like
how you become successful at martial arts. You have to be at least somewhat aggressive.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
It's such a stupid conversation.
I mean, there are these things. There are like a few of these things throughout your life where
And again, of course, hold on.
you have an experience and you're like, where has this been my whole life? And it just like
Yeah.
it just turned on like a part of my brain that I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like this was a piece of the puzzle that should have been there, and I'm glad it now is.
Well, that's good for you, brother. But at the same time, you're kind of a piece of shit because you're just, relinquishing the safe rails from your platform. So now, the LGBTQ community can be openly attacked in ways that they weren't before. You can say even more ridiculous things than already were allowed. You're moving from California to Texas because you're just kissing Trump's behind. Hold on, what does this say? All right, we reading some of the comments now. Well, what is, because we was already on this. It says, the most surprising thing to me about all the meta changes in the Rogan interview is that Zuckerberg is doing this and hasn't announced he's divorced. Feels like that should have come first. So yeah, because people was talking about he's getting a divorce, isn't he? Yeah, see, that's what happens, man. Like when guys start going down that red pill path, it's usually because it's like a divorced dad type of thing, or they're teenagers or in their early 20s. And they're like, I got dumped. I got rejected to the prom. This is the biggest, most important thing ever. I'm never ever going to go through anything more difficult than getting rejected by this girl. I'm 17 years old. Oh my God, I'm 22 years old and my girlfriend left me. This is the worst thing anyone in history has ever experienced. Let me start drinking some Andrew Tate juice. That's typically how it goes down. So yeah, people are kind of ripping on him right here. If anything, the Social Network was too kind to this guy. He read one Andrew Tate quote and thought he cracked the code of the universe, while another added, nah, bro, he's been watching too much Andrew Tate. Nah, again, that is what happened. Somebody check his Spotify. I bet it's all alpha male podcasts now. Yeah, man, that's what happened because he done dipped his toes into the world of feel like a man. Feel like a man. And he done grew out his fuckboy haircut. You know what I'm saying? He went from this to this, and now he got all the answers. He know what's up. So yeah, my lovely people. I thought that would be a good time, and it turned out that it definitely was. Hey now, thank you so much for tuning in here at Politics and Paper. If you like what I do and you support my work, go ahead and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it and really helps to support what we do here.